Hi, my name is Jonathan Byrd, here to give you the information, inspiration, and motivation to write new songs. And today I'd like to talk about and show you how Greg Klyma and I wrote the song Gimme Says. So last October, my friend Greg Klyma was in town to play a couple shows. I said, why don't you come by my house? We'll turn the cameras on. We'll write a song. Like I was thinking, we'd finish a song. But that didn't happen. But here is what happened.
Gimme says a lot of things. Something that you can play with any band after a 2-minute tutorial. Gimme says, Gimme say what? Gimme say Gimme says something. Cha-ching. Gimme says a lot of things. Nice. I'm liking the don't pay him any mind.
Don't pay him any mind.
Don't pay him any mind. Gimme says a lot of things.
Gimme says, listen, I ain't a mathematician.
Right. Maybe it's just me, but I think this guy's got a thing for fishing.
I think he's got a thing for fishing. I think you're right.
I just,
He's a simple guy.
Picturing Gimme, he's wearing a ball cap. Maybe it says Ford or Chevy on it,
Probably does not have a rainbow flag on it anywhere.
I don't think Jimmy's wearing a rainbow. I don't even think there's a button on his lapel. I don't know right now, but you mentioned something about a car being on blocks at some point. Do you just maybe scribble a car on blocks in there for... Jimmy's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
People like Gimme.
Help my mama.
Yeah.
Towed me out of the ditch.
You're I was just thinking the same exact thing. I'm like, if you get stuck, he's got a hitch,
right?
And he'll
pull you out of the
ditch, right?
Gimme says, man.
Where'd the pen go? It's right there. Gimme says, man, I don't understand.
Yes, right that, exactly. Gimme says, man, I don't understand.
Going back to the car on blocks, I think it's a Pontiac.
Trans Am is a Pontiac.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. That seems like... I've seen a lot of Trans Ams on blocks.
Yeah.
These days, I'm going to cut that tree down that's growing up in the middle of it. Wouldn't take none of my cha-ching.
That's Dan. I'll fight you to the death for that line.
There can be only one.
Well, that up on blocks, out and back.
Yeah.
That's satisfying.
It's really satisfying to sing.
And that can be a quote. It says, quote, we're going to fix it in the spring. Jimmy's saying that.
I was going for a run, and I thought, what would Chuck Berry do?
What would Chuck Berry do?
Chuck Berry would write a story, and there would be things that happen in the beginning of the song, come back at the end of the song. If you read a novel, and there's a gun on the first page of the novel, you know somebody's going to get shot, because otherwise, why would the writer put the gun there? If you put a winch, like Jimmy is at the store, and he's showing his winch off. That's why he's there, to show you his brand new winch that he got.
Okay, so right now, it's like I slid into a ditch, but Jimmy got a winch. But now you want to change, but Gimme has that winch.
Jimmy's got a winch.
Jimmy's got a winch.
We definitely have to do some darling killing to do this, but I think it's a good direction.
Darlings must die. If you haven't killed a darling, you ain't writing the right kind of songs. I'm just going to go on record
just
saying
not cha-ching. That's the hill you're going to die on.
I'm going to tell you, cha-ching and I are going to the grave together.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, all these conversations are highly edited. There was hours of this stuff. But if you want to dig deeper, you can support me, patreon.com/JonathanByrdMusic. I'll leave a link in the description. And you can see week by week, I share whatever video I've done for the week, working with other writers, working by myself, explaining my process, facing problems in songwriting, and solving them. But let's keep going. Here's what I got. Gimme says, morning, all I need is deer corn, nightcrawlers, and a gallon of gas. He's got a truck with a winch and a boat on a hitch. He pays me every Saturday in cash. He says, Mama's doing better, got a heater for the trailer. It's a shame about the price of kerosene. Bless his heart, it isn't pretty, and I ask you to forgive me. Jimmy says a lot of things. Gimme says, yeah, but people need to toughen up. Gimme says he heard it on the news. He says illegal immigration is a danger to the nation, and I shake my head the way I always do. Jimmy's got a Pontiac up on blocks, out and back, says he's going to fix it in the spring. He's been saying that for years. I hope I'm being clear. Gimme says a lot of things. Gimme says walk the walk, if you're going to talk the talk. Gimme says stand your ground, but don't bring your guns to town. Gimme says, man, I don't understand what they mean about the deck being stacked. Wish they'd get off of my case because no one gave me any aces. I just want my country back. Then it's something about his mother talking to his commie brother, and I'm only half listening. Gimme says it without blinking. If you're thinking what I'm thinking, I think Gimme says a lot of things. Gimme says walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk. Gimme says stand your ground, but don't bring your guns to town. One morning I was late and I wasn't seeing straight. I ran off of the rural route. I was sitting in a ditch. Here come Jimmy, some bitch. He winched me up and pulled me out. I tried to give him money, but Jimmy's kind of funny. Wouldn't take none of my cha-ching. He said, I got to give you something. He said, you don't owe me nothing. Yeah, but Jimmy says a lot of things. All the time he spent talking, could have saved time walking. However that line goes. You know, Jimmy says a lot of things. So 14, Jimmy says. So the only thing I'm not totally excited about here is then it's something about his mother talking to his commie brother. But we've already mentioned his mom, and there's something about that line that's like, I just feel like there's an opportunity in that line to have something else in there.
In the early part of the song where he's getting the heater for the trailer, or they're talking about the heater for the trailer, I'm assuming in that line that Jimmy took care of getting the heater for the trailer. His beloved mother is talking to his commie brother. I kind of like the idea that he's like worried about Mama being influenced. Like,
I see.
Come over here and watch this other news program with me, Mama. No more out of that commie brother of mine, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just have to sing it a few times. I feel like we've done a great deal of positive damage. Yeah, everything is on this hard drive, right? Oh, Jesus.
Hello. This may be trivial, I don't know or not, but the line about the Pontiac, bumping that up to the first verse, and the part about Mama's doing better, heater for the trailer, bless his heart, in the second verse. And my logic was, in the first verse with all the introductions going on, Jimmy says, Mornin, all I need is deer corn, but then it goes in a narrator voice right away. He's got a truck with a winch, a boat on the hitch, pays me every Saturday in cash. I thought it might be cool to keep it in narrator voice. Jimmy's got a Pontiac, up on blocks out and backs, been saying it for years. Let me be clear, Jimmy says a lot of things. And then it would go into people need to toughen up, heard it on the news, illegal immigration, danger to the nation, I egg them on like I always do. Jimmy says his mama's doing better, got a heater for the trailer, it's a shame about the price of kerosene. Bless his heart, it isn't pretty. Yeah. I ask you to forgive me, but Jimmy says, because Jimmy says a lot of things. Jimmy says walk the walk.
Yeah, that works.
All right, man, I'll let you get back to your busy day.
All right, thanks, Greg.
Bye-bye.
What's shaking, dog?
I think we got a big problem here with the last revision.
Uh-oh. What's going on?
So we got the Pontiac up in the first verse, and that was groovy because it like really showed us Jimmy's character. But the problem that I have with it is Jimmy says, Mornin, all I need is deer corn, nightcrawlers, and a gallon of gas. He says, I'm going to fix it in the spring. That's all he says. And then we say Jimmy says a lot of things. And the emotional impact of the hook at the end of the verse really falls flat for me. So the reason I wrote that string of sentences that eventually became, he says my mama's doing better, got a heater for the trailer, it's a shame about the price of kerosene, is like a series of possibly unrelated things that give him this chattiness that makes Jimmy says a lot of things land.
I see what you mean, and I offer you this perspective on it, that the first time you say Jimmy says a lot of things is immediately followed by Jimmy says this, Jimmy says that, oh, and Jimmy says this too. People are going to hear songs more than one time. Like, you don't need the whole thing to make sense in the first verse, and it doesn't need to be all up front. I understand what you're saying. I'm not even arguing against it. I'm just saying, like, I think I come at it from a slightly different place. And unlike you, I haven't won any song contests.
I am a terrible listener. Like, if you don't grab me in the first verse, or reading, like, if you don't get me in the first chapter, I can't, it's hard for me to keep going. And I've always kind of been that way, and I've always kind of thought about songs that way, that I want to, but by the time the first verse is over, especially by the time I hit the hook of the song, I want you to be feeling like this is really going to be worth it. We can have Jimmy say more things. He pays me every Saturday in cash. Maybe that line could be instead Jimmy saying something, or Jimmy tells us about the Pontiac that's up on blocks out and back, or just him not saying much and then us saying Gimme says a lot of things is not working for me. I agree that putting the Pontiac up on blocks out and back and him saying he's going to fix it in the spring, and he's been saying that for years, that is definitely a very strong indicator of Jimmy's character. And that's what I liked about it when you first did it. So if I flip that other part down, Gimme says, man, I don't understand what they mean about the deck being stacked. No one gave me any aces. Wish they'd get off of my case because damn, I want a country back. Jimmy's got a Pontiac up on blocks out and back, says he want to fix it in the spring. He's been saying that for years. I hope I'm being clear. Jimmy says a lot of things. I mean, that kind of works for me too, because he's like, I want my country back. And it's like, well, why don't you fix your car, dude?
All that stuff that we had on the page first, we kind of like came back to some of that because it's like your initial idea was so much better. And so at this point, you and I have moved pieces of this song around. There's been some editing that's already taken place. It could be a matter of just putting some stuff back where it was in the first place. But honestly, some of the stuff that you're not feeling about that, like I don't feel that same way. Like I kind of the song currently is like 2.5 minutes. I don't think it's taxing people's attention spans. I haven't co-written a lot in a long time, and I haven't co-written with you in over a decade, and so like part of this whole experience for me is like I learn when I work with friends. I definitely learn from you. 2 versions ago I'd have been like, this is ready.
You think about like Shel Silverstein or Jerry Reed, like the kind of songs that those guys would write and sing.
It's not the Ballad of Larry, you know?
Every song is the Ballad of Larry to me. I mean, every song needs to be like, just whoops ass. I can't be dissatisfied that early in the song. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shift some things around really quick, and I'm just going to email you. Let's just shoot this back and forth a little bit because I think we can make it better. I think it's great. It's good. I mean, it's been great. It's been great for like 10 versions already.
It's been really fun. Like at every turn for the last week, easily, it's just been like, that's cool. I want somebody to want this in their set.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
It's a co-write. It's not mine. It's ours.
It's ours. It's ours. All right. Love you, Greg.
Love you, Jonathan. Have a great night.
Bye-bye. Jimmy says, morning, Bob. Give me deer corn, nightcrawlers, and a gallon of gas. He's got a truck with a winch and a boat on a hitch, and he comes here every Saturday and chats. He says, my mama's doing better, got a heater for the trailer. It's a shame about the price of kerosene. Bless his heart, it isn't pretty. I'm sure that I'm forgetting something. Jimmy says a lot of things. I love that, forgetting something. I love that. That was great, Greg. Jimmy says, listen, man, since I started fishing, man, I knew they wasn't going to come to me. He says, now would you get a load of this? My brother is a socialist, wants everything in life for free. I say, what about that Pontiac up on blocks out and back? He says, I'm going to fix it in the spring. He's been saying that for years. I hope I'm being clear. Jimmy says a lot of things. Jimmy says, walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk. Jimmy says, stand your ground, but don't bring your guns to town. Well, one morning I was late and I wasn't seeing straight. I ran off of the rural route. I was sitting in the ditch. Here comes Jimmy, some bitch, and he hitched me up and winched me out. Though he wouldn't waste an audience, however much he jawed, he wasn't taking none of my cha-ching. The only price I had to pay, he had a lot of things to say. You know, Jimmy says a lot of things. I mean, come on. We were so close at this point. Greg and I had a couple more phone conversations that I recorded and lost in a data nightmare that I'm still crawling out of, but you can hear the final version in a really funny and slightly controversial video that I made. I'll leave a link in the description, also links to where you can listen to it wherever you listen to music. In the bridge, we were singing Don't Bring Your Guns to Town. We sang it over and over. We wrote it and copied it down over and over, not thinking that we were erroneously quoting the Johnny Cash song, Don't Take Your Guns to Town. It's amazing how you can argue about the details in a song for months and miss something like that. In fact, I had recorded and mixed the song. It was at the mastering house. I was listening to the master of the song when I realized that we had made that mistake. And since I recorded everything right here where you're watching me, I just popped up the same microphone and stood in about the same place and recorded that line again. Ran a new mix of the song, sent it to Matthew Raymer, the mastering engineer, who only rolled his eyes just a little bit, and ran a new master for us, which is the song that you hear wherever you listen to music. Cha-ching, however.
There can be only one.
Every time I got to that, I had a hard time with it. I've never heard anybody call money cha-ching. I've never called money cha-ching. We don't have a bunch of lingo in the song that kind of builds up to the idea of using more lingo like cha-ching. It's not conversational. And so I just said, if I tried to give him anything, and I know I'm about to say, Gimme says a lot of things, so I'm rhyming thing with things, but it's conversational. It's something I would say. It's something that you would hear and immediately understand, and that in the end was more important to me than having a clever rhyme like cha-ching. And Greg said, you know what, you record it your way, I'll record it mine. I'm cool with that. I'm going to sing, here's the thing about Gimme, he never would forgive me if I tried to give him anything. That makes sense to me. It sounds good. It feels conversational. It doesn't make me think about it. It just makes me understand it. So we spent 2.5 months writing a 2.5-minute song. Was that worth it? I don't know. Go listen to the song. Come back here and tell me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications. I'm your fan, Jonathan Byrd. Don't forget to write.
But Jimmy says, morning, Dan, give me deer corn, nightcrawlers, and a